Okay, day 193, Awan Brotherhood. This is going to be a good summary to get people into the series so that they can catch up and not have to go back and look at all the other stuff. This series basically started 193 days ago when the information came out about the server, about Huma's server, Huma's emails being on Anthony Weiner's laptop. So that's why the day 193. The people we've found along the way have been involved in some way in what we call a rat line. A rat line is either an information rat line. It can be hackers that are in the House of Representatives. These Awan brothers. That's why I call it the Awan Brotherhood. Or it can be people involved in drugs, or through convenience stores, and looking at that rat line. Or it can be people involved in hospitals. He's also involved in hospitals, hospice care, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and so forth. Or a rat line could be overseas, involved in covert armies like Sid Blumenthal and the Muslim Brotherhood overseas. So that's the general gist of the series. What we try to do is put together footprints from all three of those worlds, from the intelligence rat line, from the drug and other kinds of trafficking rat lines, as well as the overseas operations, all tied together with those emails. The emails tie everything together and allow us to in a kind of putting a puzzle together, put together the puzzle for what actually happened. And that's basically the process of the series, is connecting the dots, all relying on mostly mainstream reporting and Pulitzer Prize winners, as well as public documents or the testimony of the individuals, the conspirators themselves. So that's the general gist. I'll let everybody know where we got yesterday. Again, this series started when this bombshell broke here, which was the True Pundit article. True Pundit came out on November 2nd, just before the election, saying, hey, all these emails somehow got from Hillary to Huma to Anthony Weiner's laptop. Okay. Now, what didn't get reported, well, what got reported yesterday was the FBI director confirmed that 7 months later. So True Pundit wrote an article saying, yes, it took Mr. Comey 193 days, 7 months to confirm that the emails went from Hillary's BlackBerry to Huma's BlackBerry to Anthony Weiner's server. He didn't say how. He just said somehow they got there. Now, I have proposed in the past exactly how they got there using desktop syncing, it's called. You just basically sync your BlackBerry, in this case Huma, to your laptop, which in this case was Anthony Weiner's laptop. But now Comey did not say that. I know that the FBI knows exactly how that happened. There's many log files that these things create. So that is not a mystery. So Comey's concealing there. He talked about two doors yesterday, whether to go through the conceal door or go through the speak door. I think he still has that same choice, whether he can go through the conceal door or the speak door. He needs to say exactly how this happened. He knows exactly how it happened. Okay, the other thing not reported was this police chief from New York, Robert Boyce, who said, hey, of these emails, they were classified. Comey admitted that yesterday. But he said that the FBI evaluated only 6,000 emails. But what Boyce added to it was there's 500,000 State Department emails in those 650,000. Okay, and they had to do with lots of nasty topics like child exploitation, sex crimes, perjury, obstruction of justice, money laundering, and pay to play. Now, that's not me. That's the chief of detectives, longtime chief of detectives, Robert Boyce. This is going to come forward. I believe Boyce will come forward. He's been tangentially named as the source for this comment. I believe now with Comey trestling in under this information now that Boyce will come forward. We're still waiting for that. Now, for those who've said all along the way that I will mention again that the cell phone records were also subpoenaed in this case. So Judicial Watch has a lawsuit out for 2 years now, and yesterday 1,000 emails came forward that basically proved this case, so Comey had to come forward with this. But I believe that also these cell phone records will come forward with the 6 trips of Hillary to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Now, for all of those of you who say I protect Israel, because everyone knows I'm Jewish in the series, and I never say anything about Mossad or Israel and so forth. I've had Ehud Barak up here in the corner, for about 100 days. You can go back and check it. But you can't bring people in because it seems conspiratorial until you have an underpinning of fact. And that's what I'm saying. Now, if you remember, Preet Bharara was here. We had to get Preet Bharara out of the investigation. Had to get him out of the obstruction. So that happened about 30 to 45 days ago. So accomplishments were made along this series. I'm not saying I'm the only reason that Preet Bharara was pushed out by Trump, but I believe there was a contributing factor from this series and all the researchers on this series. And again, I did not forget about Ehud Barak. Anthony Weiner is not the dope that they try to make him out to be in this series. This information was going from Hillary to Huma to Anthony through this desktop syncing process, not through just one BlackBerry, but it's going to be through a dozen BlackBerries, all of Hillary's dozen BlackBerries, and they are going to be going to the different Wall Street firms. But that remains to be proven. Now we're going to go back to the facts here. If you want to, in the series here, this group of Awan brothers is working in Congress. There's 3 brothers working in Congress, and they're working for some of the most sensitive committees in Congress, and they also own 12 homes. I physically went to all 12 homes, knocked on every door in all 12 homes in the Virginia area, and the most interesting was this one here in 9667 Hawkshead Drive. That was in Lorton, Virginia. I knocked on the home, and Andre, and I know his full name, and this is his wife who is in the Navy. I know her full name. I'm not going to reveal that name. I just wanted to add credibility that this is Andre T. I'll probably add his last name here soon. For all those concerned that I'm revealing a U.S. Marine's name to the Muslim Brotherhood, or I'm revealing a name to Pakistani extremist groups through the Awan brothers, to Jat, and to perhaps other extremist groups like Fuqra. They already know his name because Imran Awan, one of the Awan brothers I was talking about who works in Congress, rented him the home. So he knows what his name is. Now, Imran Awan used a false name to rent Andre and his wife this home for a 5-year lease. But the bottom line is that this Marine here, Andre T., found these BlackBerries and these laptops in this home that Imran Awan had left in that home. This is going to become more famous than the Watergate Hotel and the tape on the door, I believe, because it's the key to the whole story. It's not just Huma's server, desktop linking to her BlackBerry, or in this case, her husband's BlackBerry, Weiner's BlackBerry, but it's also going to be Debbie Wasserman Schultz's BlackBerry linking to her BlackBerry. It's going to be Hillary's BlackBerry linking to her laptop. It's going to be Valerie Jarrett's BlackBerry linking. These are all State Department BlackBerries. I've confirmed that. These are all State Department issued BlackBerries. And the reason why they used the BlackBerry supposedly was because it was such a cumbersome system to go through the secured terminals that the BlackBerries were used instead. So you're going to have Susan Rice's BlackBerry linking to her BlackBerry. So these are going to be you've heard the story about the 17 BlackBerries. I believe that's going to be very close to the 19 different conspirators that were involved in the entire conspiracy. Okay? So I think you're going to see more about Andre T. He stood here on this step right here on this door and told me straight in my eye that these had government markings on them. So did the laptops. He said he called the FBI. The FBI came and got him. The Navy Intelligence Service, because his wife's in the Navy, wanted to exclude her as a potential person that may have stolen this equipment, so they came out and investigated. And then finally the case was relegated to the Capitol Police, and the FBI so far has covered up their involvement in this investigation. Okay, so here's the smoking gun email. This smoking gun email is basically from Hillary to Huma saying we need to start, basically bringing another person online with these BlackBerries. The BlackBerries become this token to getting at classified information. If I give you a BlackBerry and it's one of Hillary's, I get not only all of Hillary's information, but what the BlackBerry Enterprise server does, and I'll get to a large server over here, let's say over here, will sync all the laptops together. So I'll not only get Hillary's 60,000 emails on her BlackBerry, but I'll get Valerie Jarrett's 60,000 emails, I'll get Susan Rice's 60,000 emails, I'll get other folks in the State Department's emails, maybe even the president's emails. So, again, this email from Hillary to Huma saying, have Anthony Weiner's trusted staff in D.C. Send a secure phone to New York. Now, this is a secure phone going from Washington, D.C. to New York. Anthony Weiner's already in New York. So who is Anthony Weiner's trusted staff? I say it is these Awan brothers because they're experts in cell phone technology and they have top secret clearances down in Washington. So that would be trusted staff. Now, you might say, well, that's not proven. Well, it's easy to call Anthony Weiner into a grand jury and ask him who his trusted staff is and start looking at his phone records and his movements and to prove that out. I don't have grand jury subpoena power, but this is going to be very easy to prove. At this point, the conspiracy starts falling apart. Why did Hillary get subscriptions from all the different Wall Street firms? It was for this $500,000 a year access to these emails, not just Hillary's emails, but this whole trove of 650,000 emails on Huma's server. Okay? So, and again, it's their own, this is a filing from Judicial Watch yesterday that was released saying there's BlackBerry email accounts. The subpoena was for BlackBerry email accounts, meaning that the BlackBerry devices go with the BlackBerry email accounts. These are State Department issued BlackBerries, State Department issued laptops. Okay? Well, the big question is, where's the big email server that brings it all together? Well, the Awans were accused again, these are FBI documents, not my documents, of having an external server. These are FBI documents that said these Awan brothers working for these members of Congress had an external server. That is going to be the BlackBerry Enterprise server. I was wrong before. I thought maybe this was a laptop. Now I'm going to go back to my original thesis, which I had for 120 days, which was that this was the extra BlackBerry Enterprise server that was created to link all the laptops together. It's going to be very easy to, as I mentioned for 120 days ago, the server logs will tell the whole story. All this syncing, this replication, these replication servers is all logged. There's detailed logs. There's going to be logs over the network as well as logs written to log files as well. So, and again, phone records are going to tell the story on the BlackBerries. I should change that to BlackBerry phone records because there's going to be a geolocation function for every one of those. So we're going to know where the people were, where they moved around to, and so we're going to know where the laptop synced with the different conspirators. So all the BlackBerry Enterprise server is going to unwind the rest of the conspiracy. It's going to be very simple from here on in. Again, a lot of the legwork on all this has already been done through modeling that we've done through all the researchers that have been involved in this project. What the total so. This is an FBI document that from the investigation, where the 19 names in the conspiracy from the State Department, the people who use BlackBerry email servers, was blacked out, was redacted. So what we've done is looked at different people along the way who had BlackBerries, and therefore would be likely people to subpoena. Okay, Victoria Nuland I mentioned, Rajiv Shah was at USAID, Doug Band, I've mentioned, Justin Cooper, Lanny, who's the White House counsel, Jack Lew, Treasury, Dennis McDonough, Chief of Staff, Chris Stevens, et cetera, Samantha Power, Susan Rice, Patrick Kennedy, all these names put forward. Again, maybe some of them, half of them are not correct, but half of them are going to be correct. Tom Nitis, I've mentioned him since about day 40. So at this point, this conspiracy is almost, if the FBI just produces the BlackBerry logs, this conspiracy is over. It's done. The whole thing, all 19 are done. Now, I've questioned way back when about day 40, day 45. Did the FBI already give immunity to all 19 of these conspirators? We don't know yet. But again, Judicial Watch has lawsuits in process for all this, 2 years into it. So this isn't something now that we have to wait another 2 years. It's just a matter of the kind of the meat falling off the bone. We're at the end of the turkey cycle here, I believe, in the cooking here. Jake Sullivan's going to be another one that's going to be another BlackBerry that's going to be in this mix. So what I said from the beginning was if Andrew McCabe here, who didn't declare a $675,000 bribe from Hillary to his wife on a form, an ethics form, which says declare anything over $200, He's the guy who shut this investigation down at all points along the way. All these obfuscations. Comey covered for him yet again yesterday. I've said from the beginning, if he publishes these 650,000 emails, not all the content of the emails, just the metadata, to, from, where, and regarding what, for Hillary and Humus servers, the case is over. So I still say that. I still say he says he still wants 5 years to go through the emails. I say that's obstruction. Not me just saying it's obstruction. Number 3 at the FBI said no grand juries, no subpoenas, no court orders, immunity for all the co-conspirators, letting all the co-conspirators in on the same interview. I mean, these are crazy things the FBI never does. Now, if you followed the series, you probably know that Andrew McCabe has a disruption campaign against good old George here. It's light disruption. I'm obviously not limping or anything like that, but I do have a light disruption campaign going on, but I'm going on to the bitter end here because this is the truth. This is really kind of a pivotal moment. This is a Watergate moment in the history of the United States. Now, where does the investigation go on from here? Well, here's Omar Awan. Again, when someone testifies on LinkedIn and puts their own profile information, their own picture up, I tend to believe them, okay? And here is a Baltimore article about their family here living in Fredericksburg, and I've gone to his home in Fredericksburg as well. Now, the key question, and this Omar Awan was also working for Congress at $147,000. He says he's not related to the other 3 Awan brothers who are also making over $160,000. But my question is, because we have an Omar Awan with a serial number that matches up with one of the other Awan brothers, Abid Awan, could it be that this Omar Awan, working in Congress over as a senior process business analyst, he's actually working with the PeopleSoft system, so he would have access to creating positions in the Congress? Okay, is that Omar Awan really Abid Awan? And is really there are only 2 Awan brothers? Is it really Omar and Abid Awan who are the same person, and then Imran Awan, and then maybe Jamal was added in at the end as a runner? So is this Omar Awan the guy who went to Pakistan and had the VIP from the New Dawn article, had the VIP trip to try to clear his father from all the lawsuits from the 12 farmers he cheated? You'll have to watch a series now to go back and see that piece. But what I did do is I went last night to a property in Chicago, which is not far from 3 different airports, the Aurora Airport. It's kind of equidistant between 3 different Chicago airports. And I've talked about these airports being involved in rat lines, especially drug rat lines. And that property here in Bolingbrook, Illinois, is associated with a guy named Muhammad Ali Awan, which is associated, again, going back to that Lorton address. Now, this Muhammad Ali Awan only worked for Congress for 2 months, and I'm thinking that may be a summer page or something like that. But that Muhammad Ali Awan is linked to an Omar R. Awan to this address here in Bolingbrook. The reason why this is important is this could be a tie between the Awans in Washington, D.C., and Awan Brothers, Inc., which is a trading company, which if you go out in Bolingbrook, it's basically Prologis warehouses as far as the eye can see. It's just warehouses for as far as the eye could see in Bolingbrook. It's definitely a transshipment city. So don't have the link there yet, but that's where the investigation is going. So that's this morning. I just wanted to recap though, and I've asked people to scrape, this series has gone on 193 days, and I've asked people to scrape the screens. Now, there's been other people that have created Facebook groups, so there's comments there. There's been over 450 videos, so there's comments for every one of those. There's also comments on people's slides where I have all my citations and so forth from the different journalists. People have scraped that into a text file. So computer programmers have gone through and gotten the comments from the videos as well as the comments from the slides. And also someone has written metadata for every episode for every slide. So summary metadata for every episode. That file, that text file, is 7 times the size of the Bible. So I'll repeat that. All the metadata from this series is 7 times the size of the Bible. Now, I'm not saying this is the same quality as the Bible, of course. And by the way, as a Jew, I've read the part. I can't read Hebrew, so I've read the Bible as my source. So the Torah, the Talmud, and the rabbinicals. and for the Old Testament, but I've also read most of the New Testament as well. And a lot of the Bible, as you know, it isn't chronological. It doesn't start with Genesis and end with the end of times. It is different slices, and that may be the only thing I have in common with the Bible. But this is the same idea here. Someone later then came back and wrote a chronological treatment of the Bible, which I love, beginning to end, using all the different sources, and that's really where we are in this step is to basically fill in all the sources and write this beginning to end chronology. That is a big task, and I haven't done it yet because I'm doing so much reporting. I just want to say a lot has been filled in, and much like the Bible is basically slices and different stories. It's the episodes kind of are like that as well. So if you want a tour de force through all of following the money, basically, of Hillary's activities from before Mena Airport and before Arkansas, you can dive in and start at day 54. So, okay, that's where we are today. I think we're at a good point. At this point, the conspiracy falls apart like a cheap suit. And now we're just filling in, providing sessions more and more data. Again, my objective is not to hurt Hillary or anything. It's really to root out intelligence organizations that are running rat lines in the United States, because there's an opioid crisis in the United States. I believe that's tied directly to the convenience stores. So we're going to look at these convenience stores. I talked to an expert. By the way, I've just gone through a 1-month visit with all the experts out there that I have that contribute to this series. I met with an expert who owns 20 different convenience stores. A lot of fake usage of dead people's social security numbers to get people in the country, a deliberate bankrupting of the convenience stores and then moving people to different locations. So we're going to get to that rat line as well. But again, the attack here is not on Hillary. It's really just to remove the radical elements that are attacking the infrastructure of the United States. Okay.